So the new generation, like you, now it is your responsibility is to carry thorough study, investigate about the reality. Then we must carry our act according to new reality. I think in some extent, like the European Union, the spirit of European Union, I think under the leadership of de Gaulle and the Adenauer, just after the Second World War, so their thinking is broad, Broadway, and the individual nation, their sovereignty, not that much important. Important is common interest. One of my, I consider tutor, my teacher about quantum physics, one German professor, very well known, very respected, Professor von Weizsäcker. His younger brother, von Weizsäcker, one time German president. Now he, I think, still alive. My teacher, von Weizsäcker, now no longer with us. But one time he told me, when he was young, in German eye, every French is their enemy. So in French eye as well. Then he says, nowadays, that's about, I think, late 80s or early 90s, and he mentioned, nowadays, that kind of perception, that kind of attitude or perception completely changed. Now between German, French, just sort of also neighbors, brothers, sisters. Because common interest now becomes very reality, very real. Like that. So the concept of European Union start establish. In India, one great half saint, half politician, the Bhimla Babaji, I think in early 50s, he predicted, he expressed concept of ABC. A means Afghanistan, B Burma, C then called Ceylon, Sri Lanka, then India, Pakistan, all sort of united, some kind of federation. That's his vision. If that vision materializes, I think Afghanistan, Pakistan has a much stable. Like that. India, among these sort of countries, India is the biggest, most populous nation. So India, look, last 60, more than now nearly 70 years, very stable. Because there is freedom, democracy, rule of law. So therefore, we must act according to reality. That's very important. So now Tibet issue, Tibet case. And I think firstly, I think people of China as a whole, the most populated nation on this earth. And with a long history, cultured people. I usually telling you, my Chinese friend, Chinese hardworking, and realistic. So reason wherever they live is eventually they create Chinatown because they are hardworking. Meantime, they easily adapt the new situation, but meantime keep their culture. So the Chinatown develop. Sometimes I tell you, my one Indian friend there, one Punjabi. So now Indian also should create India town. You have very rich cultural heritage. So wherever Indian community, you must develop India town. So like that, or Japanese town, or Korean town. I said, what? Particularly like America, multicultural people, a lot of Spanish speaking, a lot of sort of European different languages of speaking there, a lot of Polish. So wonderful. So in any way, that biggest populated nation now already carrying some important sort of role on this planet. However, unfortunately, so far, you see, People's Republic of China carries some sort of role, some responsibility, but fail to bring trust from neighboring states or rest of the world. I think, and also you see many nations, including the United States, sometimes they stress more importance of their national interest rather than common interest. Look, Copenhagen summit about ecology. The very reason, the failure of that summit is the concerned people, concerned government is to stress the importance of their national interest, national economic development, rather than global level sort of interest. So now China, People's Republic of China, in order to carry more effective role, respect from the rest of the world is very essential. For that, openness, as you mentioned, transparent, without censor, openness, these are very, very essential. And eventually, rule of law, very, very essential. Democracy, sometimes I have little reservation. Immediate sort of democratic system. It may bring a lot of chaos, like former Soviet Union. So gradual change of democracy, that's a democratization. I think that's the most suitable. However, transparency without censorship and distorted information, that's a very, very sort of important matter. Now, so far, that's lacking. So therefore, unnecessary problem with neighboring states, some suspicion, distrust. And within the country, the millions of Han brothers and sisters also is suffering. And also there are other sort of minorities, like Uyghur people, and also Tibetan. Distrust, some gap. And the Han people side, it is very understandable. They always is fat, the government propaganda. So I said they create one sort of impression. The central government or Communist Party, firstly, liberated Tibet, and then secondly, a lot of money pouring in Tibet. But then you see Tibetan, some demonstrations would take place, then they feel naturally, oh, we're so kind to them, but they never show appreciation. The Tibetans are really backward and stupid. It's understandable. But if you ask Tibetan, very detailed, then you say, there are, of course, a lot of development there. Like late Panchen Lama, just before his certain death, he publicly mentioned, since the Liberation Army come, there's a lot of development there. But the other side, pain, suffering side, is immense. So the positive development cannot match the amount of the suffering. He mentioned publicly.